two audit procedures. Tests of controls are audit procedures performed to test the operating effectiveness of controls in preventing or detecting material misstatements at the relevant assertion level. A test of controls is also an audit procedure to test the effectiveness of a control used by a client entity to prevent or detect material misstatements. Next one is substantive testing. Is the stage of an audit when the auditor gathers evidence as to the extent of misstatements in clients or accounting records or other information. These tests are required as confirmation to maintain the declaration that the financial records of an entity are complete, applicable, and correct. Some level of substantive testing is required regardless of the controls of regardless of the results of control testing. If weak internal controls exist or if important controls are not in place, extensive substantive testing will be required. On the other hand, if controls are found to be effective, the amount of substantive testing required is significantly lower because there is less chance of error in underlying records. So this is the situation for the internal control. All warehouse staff who receives goods which are being delivered by the supplier have to prepare or raise goods GRN and sign as an evidence to show goods are received are at proper quantity and proper quality. So the test of control is to the client will inspect a sample of goods received notes to confirm that stores in words staff sign for goods received. And for additional substantive testing, for sample of purchase transaction from purchase ledger vouch to the supplier's in purchase invoice and goods delivery notes and internal goods received notes to ensure that transactions occurred. So that's all for question 2.
Okay, nice. Good presentation together with the example difference between test of control substantive procedures. Thank you, Nabil.
Means there another answer from other group, so we present again, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So test of control is designed for assess the effectiveness of internal control system, and it is usually a short and quick test which generate either yes or no answer.
the last sentence is incorrect. Test of control is the yes or no answer is for the internal control questionnaire. ICEQ. So the questionnaire will have this. Test of control is not this. So the last sentence is not relevant. It's misleading. Continue.
And for substantive procedure is an audit procedure designed to detect the material misstatement at assertion level. And it is more time consuming because it requires a more detailed audit work to be carried out. And then the evidence gathered from test of control can evaluate the effectiveness of the internal control system. So if the internal control system is effective, then the substantive procedure will be reduced, which means we can test less transaction. And if it is ineffective, then we need to inspect more document, and the substantive procedure will increase. That's all.
Okay.
Miss, so followed by next questions or
Yeah, next question.
Okay, so I will be presenting question 3. In a small garage whose dealing are in cash, the foreman orally give the details of work done to the receptionist. The receptionist then prepare an invoice and hand it to the customer.
Where's the scenario? Okay, first of all, what is this scenario about?
The scenario is about the receptionist have to pass the details, have to prepare the invoice, then collect cash from customer. Then at the end of the day, she will check the total amount of the invoice and the cash received. Then the receptionist will hand over all the document to the accountant who make the accounting entries. That's the question. So the question require how can the internal control system for the above mentioned garage to be effective with few employees. So the first internal
Okay,
control
what is garage?
is the car repair shop.
Okay, who's the foreman?
Or who is the foreman? Foreman is someone.
the one that repaired the car?
Wow, very good, this class.
Oh,
Yeah, all the previous group was giving funny answers. Okay, good, not bad.
so for the first internal control system
Okay,
is
first of
the
all, let's identify what are the tasks involved.
sorry.
What are the tasks involved?
What are the tasks?
Hmm.
Um, tasks. Just a second. Uh,
Miss, do you mention the task of the invoice?
No, what are the tasks in the whole question overall? There are
Oh,
many activities, right, happening
yeah.
in the question. So what are those?
uh, the task. The the task is to help to make the control system even better.
No, what I mean is there are many things to do, right, in the question. The
Uh,
accountant, how many people involved in the question?
or three.
Three. Who are those three?
Uh, the receptionist
Hmm.
Foreman and the accountant.
and
Okay.
accountant.
Receptionist, foreman, and accountant. So the foreman will give details of work done, one work. Receptionist will prepare invoice. Receptionist will collect cash from customer. Will check the total amount in the invoice, match with the total cash received. She will record the cash into the cash receipt book. She will also banking deposit the cash into the bank. So how many works is she doing? How many tasks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Clever. So we got 1, 2, 3. After 4 is 5.
Stress.
See the way you are counting like a kid, okay? Hey, got one more.
Eh?
She got 6 things to do. She will then hand over the document to the accountant.
Oh, yeah.
So got 6 things she have to do. Okay, so let me share my screen for a while. Okay, so here, when we talk about segregation of duty, we got 4 different tasks. One is initiation of the transaction. Second is processing the transaction. Third is recording the transactions. Third is recording the transaction. Fourth is custody of the asset. So who will in charge of the asset? So when we talk about segregation of duty, one of the thing is that you can have same people, one people to do all the tasks, but make sure there is a checkpoint to catch the staff from doing fraud. Okay. Or second style of implementing good internal control system is you are having different people to involve in different tasks. So coming back here, preparing invoice comes under which part? Number one, number two, number three, which one?
Number one.
Number one. Next, collection of cash from customer.
Number one also.
Number two,
Number
you are
two.
processing.
Process.
Next, checking the total.
Checking the total amount. Number three.
Number three, no.
Eh?
You
Checking.
are
Oh,
checking.
number two.
Number two.
Okay. Record cash sales.
Number three.
Deposit.
Number three.
Hey, you are depositing into bank lah.
Oh, number four.
Number four, class. This is processing the transaction.
Oh.
One. Is it?
No, number
Two.
two. This is part of process. Initiation means beginning of the transaction. This is depositing cash towards the end ready. Making accounting entries.
Number three.
Number three. Okay, because you are recording the transaction. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Wait, I haven't shared my screen yet. Okay, how to make you understand things more simple is, just now I gave you two options, right? Number one, have one people to do all the work. Number two is having many people to do the work. Okay, which one you find it more efficient? For example, let's say you are an employer, you are owner of a company and you are looking for graduates in accounting. So you found a university which you think the university have actually a lot of good stuff. I mean good students, good qualified students. So there is two option method in the university. Or let's say there is two university lah. Okay, this is university number one. This is university number one. This is university number two. University college. Okay, university number one, number two. The first university, the person who set the exam question, coursework test question, the lecturer, tutor, the person who marked the script, the person who decide marginal case, those like 48, 49, you want to let them to pass or fail is done by totally different lecturer, different people. All these tasks is done by four different people, four different lecturers or tutors, four different people. Another university, they have a system whereby all these tasks is done by the same lecturer. So looking at this, which student you want to hire? You want to hire the student graduated from the first university or from the second university?
Second.
Why second university?
Because if like followed by option ones, like different teachers, like different lecturer giving exam and teaching is like the students may not be scoring in the exam and
I'm talking from employer's point of
for,
view, not
for
student. If you
employers.
are a boss, you own
Okay.
a company. So you want to hire student from which university? And why? Which university? Xiang Yuan.
Second, I think he also mentioned.
Second,
more standardized.
university, more standardized. But what is the problem here? If the same lecturer actually said the exam question coursework, the lecturer will know the student's level. So the lecturer will give the student more tips, get the student more pass. More student pass, more student score. So the lecturer will get good name. Student also happy. Then the lecturer mark the script. The lecturer can mark very leniently, make everybody pass. Right, wrong answer also make pass. And then when there is a lot of student getting 48, 49, the lecturer can just tell the college that okay, all these students deserve to pass, let them pass. So from lecturer's point of view, if you are doing all these things by one person, it is very easy, because you can control everything. Number one. Number two is you can make students also happy. You can give tips, because when you have another tutor, the tutor will keep on monitoring you. But if you are the only one to control everything, then you can actually manipulate by giving a lot of tips, right? So you want to get students from University 2 or University 1 as your employee. Okay, based on the scenario I mentioned just now, which student you think will have high quality? The student with four different people, or the student with one same lecturer throughout the whole
For
process?
different people, more
Right?
quality.
Now why your answer change?
Because like what I thinking is like when different lecturer teaching us students uh like students need to like learn more things to might be more prepared for the exam because the exam is not prepared by the same lecturer.
So which one will have high quality?
Higher quality will be option one lah.
So you think the students will have high quality and option 2 lower quality lah?
Yeah,
Because you must have two, right? One high, one low.
yes,
So, but if you have four different people to do the task, wouldn't you need to hire four different lecturer and pay them more money?
yeah.
So, as a student, which university you want to go?
Second,
Why?
because before a student's going out to get a find a job, be hired by employers, you need to have the sufficient cost money to study first. If not, even though you are high qualities, you also couldn't afford. Then you like may halfway, then just like drop.
And also, you want to make sure you pass, right? So,
Yeah.
when the same person is teaching, highly likely you will be able to score more, correct?
Yes.
So what happens here is this is what happens in professional exam like ACCA. So professional exam, the employer prefers students who have professional qualification compared to a normal bachelor degree. Why? Because professional exam is set by different people. The teacher who teaching you are the local country. I mean those in the respective country, the local teachers will teach. Who marking the student script, it is totally different people. Who decide whether who will pass or fail, totally different. So basically all of this work is done independent, alright? So when it is done independent, of course the cost is also high, correct? It is good control. Control wise, very good control. But the cost is high. Good control, but the cost is high. Another university, if they have this option where everything is the same, but the thing is that um, but the thing is that you have the same lecturer to do same task, so you will save cost. Cost wise, it is lower, but control wise, you cannot run a university like this, right? Have one person to do all the tasks, then lecturer also gets stressed, correct? And lecturer also can actually manipulate the results, everything. So you will need to maintain the quality. For you to maintain the quality, you will need to implement good internal control system. So actually, like me, you take my case, I'm your lecturer, I'm your tutor, I'm the one set the coursework test, I'm the one um, going to mark your script, and I will be the one deciding all this. But you might think, oh, her work very easy, she can simply pass everybody. No, actually there is a control implemented. How is this exam paper after I said I need to send to Coventry University, because there are students from Coventry University actually taking, I mean students, our local student who are applying for CU. So this CU need to verify. And then I also have my senior lecturer. I have senior audit lecturer actually go through the question. So this senior audit lecturer will actually decide whether the quality is appropriate or not. Because if we are giving a lower quality, then we cannot fulfill MQA requirement. Our college is accredited under MQA, our program, so I need to fulfill MQA requirement. So I might be too lenient. So I have another senior lecturer chair. Not only that, when it comes to marking, after I finish marking, somebody else will look into your marking. There would be another two people will review the marking. So these two people, one will be from the CU, another one is the senior lecturer from TAUC will look at my marking and they will say, Indres, you simply give marks to student. Please remark the scripts, everything. Make sure only those deserving the marks will get the marks. Then deciding marginal, it is not only me. There is another person also who will actually come into the picture in deciding. So, looking at the university management, which university do you think is very smart in managing the staff and managing the quality and the control and the cost? If you are a management in a university, you want to implement system 1 or system 2? Just now you said if you are an employer, you will go for university 1, okay? But if you are a student, you said you will go to university 2 because higher chance to pass. The passing wise is high. University 1 for employer because you will look at the quality. You think that because they are different, so they are independent. So when the people are independent, you think that the quality is high. So you want to go for students in university 1. Looking at the management now. So if you have an option to implement the plan, you can choose to run the university using the first option or second option. Which one would you go for?
Second option ba.
Second option,
Why second option?
because can
Because
earn more money and yeah, can earn
because
more
it's
money
quite
and
low. We just need to ensure that the quality we could maintain the quality, then it should be okay already.
So basically, what is your main reason?
The cost to run for the option two is quite low compared
Ah,
to the
so
option one.
hmm. So the cost to run is lower, right? Because you are having
Yes,
one person. So you implement more control in between, right?
yes,
So in
yes.
that case, this one person will not be overridden. She will not control or over control the whole process. So do you understand the concept here? Whereby you have one person to do everything, but in between you have internal control system to monitor. This is one way. Another way is you have segregation of duty whereby everything is single task is done by different people. You get the point? This is what I was telling here. So one method of segregation is duty is you can have same people to do all the tasks, but have a checkpoint or control. Another different method is you hire different people. That means you get four people to do four different tasks. So coming back to this question, there is no one correct or wrong answer. There is no perfect answer. So the answer it depends on the scenario, how you want to interpret and how you want to write. Okay, let me show my answer first so that you can get some idea. So basically, there is no right or wrong. So how to know whether the answer is suitable, relevant? The answer is relevant if you can actually, from your method, if the company can save costs from hiring a lot of people. If you can manage to help the company to save costs, that means your control system is very good. So this question, basically they are car repairer. They repair car, repairs cars. Okay. So in the small garage, they have 3 people. Number 1 is foreman, number 2 receptionist, number 3 accountant, number 4 owner. Owner is not stated in the scenario, but how can you run a business without owner, right? So basically there are 4 people. So this foreman actually gives details of the work done to the receptionist. So one of the tasks. Task number 2, receptionist prepare the invoice. Receptionist collect the cash from customer, check the amount, records the total, deposit the money, hand the document to the accountant. Third, what accountant does is the accountant makes the accounting entry into the system. So using the same 3 or 4 people, you can actually save a lot of money. So you need to come up with a method to save money by using these 4 people to do the work. So coming back here, the main thing is the person who initiate the transaction and the person who process must be different. The person who record the transaction must be different. But if you have to use the same person, then you will need to have control points. You need to have checkpoints whereby they will not overlap. Okay. So the first thing is this foreman, what we can suggest is we will suggest him to prepare the invoice. Instead of the receptionist, get the foreman because the foreman has the details, right? Why must he give the details then let the receptionist to do the work? Since he knows what the work is about, let him to actually prepare the invoices. This receptionist will actually pass the invoices to the customer and then collect the cash from the customer. So once cash collected, she will actually check the total cash together with the cash received and the amount in the invoice. So since this invoice is prepared by the foreman, so what is the control? How to know what is the total value of the invoice is through we will get this receptionist to actually prepare another document. It's a summary of total invoices. So she will prepare a list. This is how it will look like. You will have the invoice number, the invoice details, and what is the RF. So it will be a list. So when you see a list, so you can see the lump sum. This lump sum, she will actually agree with the total cash that she received from the customer and agree with the total invoices from the foreman. The foreman will prepare invoice, she will prepare a summary, try to match all these figures. Try to match all these 3 figures. And then she will record into the cash receipt book and she will also deposit. What if she steals the money? She only deposit half of the money, another half she steals. So in that case, we will make sure the accountant does her work. So this accountant will need to do some checking. So this accountant will need to do some checking in sense of do some comparison. So she need to compare, this accountant need to compare the total cash banked in. Because when the person banks in, the bank will issue bank in slip, correct? If you put in the ATM machine or counter bank in slip. So the accountant will take the bank in slip, compare with the total cash banked in, which you can see from the bank in slip, match with the invoices, match with the sales invoices. So in this case, the total will match lah. So if the accountant still, if the receptionist steal the money, then the accountant will know lah, money is missing. Other than that, she might actually manipulate the banking slip. She can simply write any amount, right? Or else she can tell, oh, the machine actually run out of the receipt. So the machine banking slip, the cash deposit machine did not give any slip. So in that case, the accountant need to compare the total invoice amount make sure it is same as per the bank in slip. If no bank in slip, total cash receipts. So when she received total cash, she actually issue receipt, correct? She actually issued receipt. So you compare with the receipt, and also what is the one more item she can compare? How to know the correct amount banking? Anybody? One more document? Joyce?
Yes, Miss.
What is the one more document?
Bank reconciliation,
Bank reconciliation.
and that the something.
Okay, so first we talk about bank statement. So she will compare with the bank statement. So she will basically do bank reconciliation. And let me change some nice color. So basically do bank reconciliation statement. So if there is any amount which doesn't match, total invoice or receipt does not match with bank statement, she need to do reconciliation. So through reconciliation, she will actually know if this receptionist who's doing a lot of work, is she doing anything fishy or hanky panky. Can follow? And
Yes,
this
Miss.
foreman, when this foreman is preparing invoice, this invoice must be in sequential order. Sequential order. Okay, all must be in sequential order so that if any of the invoice missing, this accountant will also double check. Will also double check if invoices are in proper orders, numbered, properly numbered. Can you guys follow? But this is not the final absolute answer. You want to hire somebody else to take over the receptionist work whereby somebody else will collect the cash and then tally, and then receptionist will enter the transaction into the receipt book, and then receptionist will go and banking the amount, also fine. Basically, the best control is that you save costs, you prevent fraud and error. That is the best one. So let's look at the presenter's answer.
So for this question, the first internal control system is the segregation of duties. The segregation of duties is the assign different people for the responsibility of authorizing transaction, recording transaction, and maintain the custody of asset. So in my opinion, the small garage shall have only 3 person involved in the accounting process, which is the receptionist, the accountant, and the manager or the boss. So in this case, the receptionist is responsible for too many duties. So in my opinion, I prefer that the receptionist is only responsible for the preparing of invoice and collecting cash for customer from customer only. So after that, the receptionist need to pass the invoice and collect cash collection to the manager or the boss for the first hand checking. Then the manager or the boss will deposit the cash for the day in the bank. Finally, the manager or the boss will need to hand over all the documents such as invoice, deposit slip, and cash receipt book to the accountant for the purpose of making accounting entries. This will form an internal control system of checking and balance. That's all from the first internal control. The second internal control system is the physical control. Physical control is only authorized personnel should have access to certain asset. So in my opinion, the invoice shall not be prepared based on the foreman orally giving details for the job done on the vehicle. I would prefer that whenever the foreman decide to use which part of the vehicle for the work done, they have to inform the manager or the boss first. This will avoid the customer paying extra for any work done that is not done by the foreman. So the third, what's that called? The third internal control system is the information processing. Information processing is the checking the arithmetical accuracy of recording. Based of the case, the receptionist is the one who check whether the individual invoice has been added up correctly or not. This may cause the error on the individual invoice because the invoice is prepared by the receptionist only. So that there may be a possibility that the receptionist fail to detect the errors. In my opinion, this duty shall be done by the manager of the boss of or the boss of the garage. This is because when there is any error for the individual invoice, it can be correct immediately.
So who should prepare the invoice? Is it the boss? You want the boss to check the cutting error or prepare invoice?
The receptionist should be preparing, but then the boss and manager should be checking for the invoice.
But the company don't have manager, right?
Then
Yeah,
the boss
so
will check.
we need to hire another. Just means like we deciding to add one more person as the
Manager, okay.
Yeah.
One person to manage.
So
Okay.
the fourth the fourth internal control system is performance review. Performance review is the comparing the result of cash count and inventory counts. In this case, this activity is not done by anyone. So I would prefer that this activity need to be done by an accountant with the help of assisting accountant who have accounting knowledge able to understand the accounting record and correct the record when there are any mistake on the cash and inventories.
The question never talk about inventory count. They only said cash, right?
Yep, but I thought also need to be comparing.
Yeah, because as the garage there has like the car parts that need to like buy every month like this.
Yeah,
So
but
like
the question never asked about inventory count.
so we no need to put
Yeah,
it.
no need.
Oh, okay. Because I need to like make it into like the full internal
You want
control.
to add value to the client lah. So
Yeah.
you suggest extra. You must add. You want to add value also. You must see. Sometimes the cost of adding value is too high. Then client may not appreciate. So for me, when I ask something on the question, just answer that. Don't write extra point. Don't need to write added value answers. No marks given. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I understand lah. Okay. So inventory count is not an issue. You can put in. So just to highlight, don't go beyond the question lah. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, you will have the accountant to check the account with the assistant accountant. But you don't have assistant accountant, right? You only got receptionist. Why did you highlight? So basically, the whole thing is right. You just put the inventory count only, ma. So the cash count, basically, you are suggesting that should be done by the accountant and assistant accountant. So are you bringing in another person as assistant accountant?
If the accountants like too many duties on it, so it there may hire one assistant accountant.
So how many people you have hired from beginning of the answer?
3 if include the assistant accountant.
So who are the 3 people?
Manager and assistant accountants.
manager and assistant accountant. But this manager and assistant accountant, if you are a boss who owns garage, your income is from the more car you repair, then the more income you will get, correct?
Yes,
So
but
does the
the manager
accountant,
positions could be uh, done by the boss also, so it's also not
yeah. But if you have never studied accountant, would you give importance to hire more assistant accountant, manager, and all this internal control system?
mostly will hire, but the manager positions I think is mostly will done by the boss because like at least as the boss you need to like have some basics control on this company.
Hello, don't think everybody like you are. There are bosses who invest money end of the month. I want money. No money, I will go and bet the stuff.
Yeah.
Ah, so coming back here, implementing internal control system, make sure it is not very costly. Now you are hiring two people already, very costly. Assistant accountant will demand for 4,000, 5,000. Somewhere if the accountant got ACCA, very difficult. If you hire SPM holder, then your existing accountant will say SPM holder not qualified, don't hire. So do you think the accounting system for a garage will be very complicated?
Nope.
Then why do you need so many accountants? One people enough, right?
Yeah.
So why you want to hire more people who will not help you in generating revenue? Unless they can bring in more customers, then that's fine. But if you're not bringing more customer, then in real life lah, actually the real companies, most of the companies they don't appreciate accountant because you are not bringing in revenue. What you do, you basically compile all the data. That's what they call you, compiler of data. So that's why when you're suggesting internal, I know you don't have experience, so that's why I'm sharing with you. So when you're suggesting internal control system, it must be direct to the controls and relevant. So no need to bring in too many people. Okay. So I wouldn't say it is not wrong. I'm just telling you the deficiency in your method is you will need to pay people. Manager is high quality, right? I mean the salary is high. Not anybody can become manager, huh? So do you think you really need manager or having another clerk will do?
Manager.
Okay, so you will need to get ready to spend money for the manager. So the shareholder or the owner of the garage will ask, how this manager going to bring in more revenue? Now I need to spend extra 4,000 of my revenue to pay him salary. So how will he have impact on my business? Will he bring any revenue?
Like it can avoid like any format or the receptions like stealing the money or
So this is how, as an auditor, you must come up with a method to or way to convince your client. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
There are people actually, you cannot say I'm nasty. There are many people more nasty than me. The way I question you, right? There are more people who will question worse than this. They ask why I must spend money and what he will do just to prevent fraud. I need to really like hire people? Hmm. So all this you need to take into consideration. Next,
So still got the last internal control system is the information processing. So reconciliation is a comparison of a specific balance in the accounting record with another source. Say what the balance should be such as bank reconciliation. So based on this case, this activity is not done by the accountant. So I would like to prefer the accountant will compare the company special balance in the accounting record with the bank reconciliation. So that's all for my parts.
I go up, some more. So what is the reconciliation here?
The, 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 comparison with the bank statement.
What is special balance in the accounting record?
Like the car used for the garage, like the what's that?
The question is asking about bank reconciliation, correct? I mean, indirectly, if you want to suggest control to make sure that they have banking properly, then it should be that's the case lah, bank reconciliation, right? So if you want to suggest, you must suggest clearly. So now I'm confused. What is this company's special balance?
Not
So
really.
you, sorry?
Didn't think of it.
So don't write things where you also don't know, unless you suggest that they do bank reconciliation, then that's fine. Okay.
So I pass to the next group for the presentation.
Okay.
Segregation of duty requires that different individuals be assigned responsibility for different elements of related business activity. In the case of the small garage, segregation of functions should be applied. For example, the receptionist is responsible for maintaining custody of cash. The record keeping of the transactions, such as preparing invoice and charge receipt book, should be delegated to another employee, whereas the accountant is responsible for recording the transaction in the accounting records. It would create an internal system of check and balance within the framework of the small garage. The second one is physical control over asset and record to help protect the company asset. Adequate physical control, for example, ensure that the cash collected from the customer is kept in a locked and secure place, such as a cash register in the small garage before deposit in the bank to safeguard the cash.
Okay, the question did not ask for physical control directly. It's more on segregation of duty.
Okay. The third one is the authorization of the transaction should be made properly. For example, the foreman should not only give the oral authorization, instead the authorization should be given in a written form.
Okay, what is authorization?
Uh, a transaction is the to approve uh, to prove the transaction is the true one, not official.
So authorization means approve of transaction. Are you asking a foreman to approve the transaction?
Yes.
How can foreman approve the transaction? Transaction must be approved by somebody who did not perform it. If you perform a transaction and you are authorizing it, then the control is very weak. Authorization means somebody must check and approve. So that's why we have the foreman to prepare the invoice and the receptionist will actually approve the invoice. She will check the work of the foreman and approve. Okay.
Okay.
Next.
So the last one is the independent performance check, which are carried out by employees who did not do the work being checked, how to help ensure the reliability of accounting information and the efficiency of the operation of small garage.
So how many people have you hired in this answer?
One,
Who is that?
for administrative clerk,
Sorry,
clerk,
where is it? Employee. So carried out by employee A. Who's the independent checker? Okay, so you mentioned another employee, right? So what is the qualification of the employee?
SPM qualification.
What is the position of the employee in the company? What would be the position?
Uh, administrative clerk.
Come again?
Administrative clerk.
Administrative clerk. Okay. So you're not required to write definition, but you must explain from the scenario. So the style that you all wrote, I can see you actually pick up the control activities, right? Physical control, segregation of duties, performance, all this. You're not required to do so. You straight away go to the scenario, identify what are the tasks that need to be segregated, then you explain why. Then that will be. Okay?
Yes, miss. So like we just like based on the situations, we just decide, just give our opinions on hire how many people, then these people's do like do what's their duties. Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody got any other question? Okay. If not, can we look into question 4 quickly?
Hi, Miss. I'm going to present question 4. In the internal control refer to the system, rule, and procedure that company may implement to ensure the proper risk management. It is also to ensure that the company apply with related law and regulations. There are some of the most common limitations of internal control as below. Collusion by 2 or more employees. One of the most internal control that company utilize in is the segregations of duty. It allows them to use variation employees in a process to ensure that the individual employee cannot commit fraud. By collaborating with others, employee can easily render segregations of duty ineffective. Number 2, human error. Internal control depends on human input. Therefore, internal control does not work well that when there is a chance of human error occurring during the process. Number 3, uh, poor and improper judgments from management. The management of the company making decisions based on the information provided to them. However, if the information is not adequate, it may end up in the wrong decision from the management.
Okay, so basically these are the limitation or weakness. Next.
So for my answer, there's no system of internal control is ever 100% effective because of some inherent limitation. The first is corruption, the possibility of circumvention of internal control through the corruption of a member of management or an employee with parties outside or inside the entities. The second is due to the human error. A person involved in a control system could simply make a mistake, perhaps forgetting to use a control step, or the person does not understand how a control system to be used, or does not understand the instruction associated with the system. This may be caused by the assignment of the wrong person to a task. The third is management override. There is someone on the management team who has the authority to do so could override any aspect of a control system for his personal advantage. The last is because of the missing separation of duties. A control system may have been designed with an insufficient separation of duties so that one person can interfere with its proper operation. That's all.
Okay, good. Okay, others. Okay, let's go to the last question.
I will be present the question 5. Discuss the assertion areas to be emphasized and the type of audit evidence to rely on and level of sufficient for each of the following situation. Situation 1 is talking about the inventories forms a large portion of the current assets and compared to the last year, it has increased by 20%. Inventory is portable and expensive. So the area to be emphasized is the accuracy, relation, and the allocation. And the type of the audit evidence is analytical procedures. And the level of the sufficiency of the audit evidence, analytical procedures may not be sufficient, although the analytical procedure can help to obtain an overall view of the change in the financial don't in a financial year, but there is a risk that the statements will be not correct. Then because there is a 20% very significant increase in the current assets. So the auditor will perform various analysis on the financial statement of clients to identify the increased trend of the current asset. Also, auditor can use the physical examination as another type of audit evidence to make sure that the current asset exists and are in the good condition. This is because the assets are portable and might be stolen because it's very expensive.
So basically, the assertion here is existence, not accuracy. They say 20%, scroll up. The asset is portable, expensive, right? And the asset increased by 20%. So there is risk that the asset may actually not exist in the company. You may purchase, but the asset may not exist in the company. So that's why you will need to do analytical, you need to do physical inspection. Okay, so is physical inspection sufficient? So basically, you will need to do observation. You need to request the client to perform inventory count, and then you will need to observe whether the inventory count is done properly or not. Okay, it is not an analytical procedure, but more towards existence. Whenever we talk about inventory, our concern is whether the inventory exists or not. Okay.
Uh, Wait, I got someone call me. Can ask another person help me to present?
Yes, can.
Uh, my answer is basically similar to what he presented just now. The assertion to be emphasized is accuracy, evaluation, and application, and we will be performing analytical procedures because the value of the current asset fluctuated, which is very significant increase of 10%. So we have to perform investigation in order to ensure the inventory has been included in SOFP at the appropriate amount.
No lah, the main thing is on the valuation. What is the point you don't have the inventory? You purchase the inventory, then CC the warehouse staff have been stealing the inventory and selling for his personal use. So he sell the inventory, get the money put inside his pocket. So that means the inventory doesn't exist. And some of the question said it is portable. Portable means easy to carry and expensive, right? So you should try to verify the existence of inventory. So how will you know whether inventory exists or not? You need to request client to do stock count. When the client is doing stock count, you will need to observe whether the counting is done properly or not. If not, you wouldn't know whether the inventory actually exists or not, right?
Yes, miss.
Okay, continue. Okay, second, scroll down, new computerized system. for the inventory recording. So what is your occurrence, and then what will be your procedure here? How do you know whether the new computerized system to record the inventory is reliable, can be trusted or not? How are you going to know whether this new system is working well or not? Here it is not about occurrence.
The check the amount transfer correctly or not.
So how are you going to do that? So basically you will need to do more tests of controls. Okay, so in this case, there is no very specific assertion. The only thing is that you can say completeness. The assertion here will be completeness. Because how to know all the transaction is recorded correctly or not? Because this is a new system, right? So sometimes when you key in the information, the system may not have captured the information. So here we are assessing the reliability of the new computer or new inventory system. So how to know whether it's working well or not? What is the type of evidence? You will need to perform more tests of controls. Perform more tests of controls on the transactions to assess whether the transactions are recorded completely or not. So you need to perform more tests of controls. We are not concerned whether opening balance transferred correctly or not. Okay, opening balance can also take into consideration. But the main thing is how to know whether this, because the system is now linked to the inventory system and also this accounting system. So can you trust the system or not? So you will need to do more tests of control for this. Next. This type of question is just to test your understanding. I won't test like this in exam. I just want you to understand the concept. Whenever we say inventory, we are looking at existence. Whenever we talk about the accounting system or inventory system, we want to make sure that the system is properly designed. Okay. Next is this is related to previous audit document that okay, so the management has some attitude issue whereby they are cunning and aggressive. So when they are cunning and aggressive, they will try to capitalize all the expenses because they want to show good profit. Those managers who are very aggressive, they want to show higher profit. So in order to show higher profit, they might tend to manipulate the financial statement. A type lah the answer. Management tend to manipulate financial statement to show higher profit. Management tend to manipulate financial statement to show higher profit. So you can talk about classification, accuracy, all this. So what happens is they will try to overstate the revenue, understate expenses, understate liability. Overstate revenue and asset, understate expenses and liability. Okay. So you will need to do more tests of controls on all these items. Perform, actually you should perform substantive procedures. You should perform more substantive procedures related to these four accounting items. And follow? Okay, next is classification. Next, scroll down. Next person's answer. Okay, you can also go back the above answer. Somebody mentioned about external document. The blue color. Okay, so you can actually look for more external document for evidence. So evidence from external party is also enhance the reliability. Why? Because when the management are cunning, and if you can get evidence from third party, that means okay lah, you can trust them. Okay, next. Next is the controls about the receipt and payment are regularly made. So basically, bank reconciliation is done regularly. So is this something good? Is current practice, is it good? Their practice to do bank reconciliation on regular monthly basis, is it good?
Good.
Good. So in this case, how are you going to improve the system better? Doing bank reconciliation, no issue. It is something to be proud of, very good. But what you can say is, you should also obtain evidence by obtaining bank confirmation from the bank. Get evidence by obtaining bank confirmation from the bank to verify the reliability of the bank statement, because bank statement can be manipulated. Next. Okay, it is sufficient, but you can you will therefore there is risk of okay, you can say risk of material misstatement is low, but still there is risk, because what if your bank statement is manipulated? So you need to get the bank confirmation letter. So bank statement should be supported with the bank confirmation letter from the bank. Next. Okay, the last one is related to, you see, the question they mentioned that whether the company has ability to meet the repayment of the loan. So you should focus whether the company got money or not to make payment. So if they don't have money, then you will need to disclose in the auditor's report that the company having financial difficulties to settle their loan. So coming back here, the assertion is not like very clear. I mean, there is no like proper assertion. It's just that you want to make sure that the company has sufficient money. So it will be difficult for you to judge whether whatever CEO says is correct or not. So how are you going to know whether cash flow is reliable? So you will need to check properly whether cash flow is reliable. How will you check properly? You need to review the assumptions. Review the assumptions used in the cash flow forecast preparation to ensure it is reliable and not over optimistic. If you see the cash flow forecast, suddenly they said next year the revenue will increase, forecasted to increase by 250%. So this one is over optimistic lah, overdoing. So you need to comment on that. Can follow any other question? No question. You cannot say cash flow forecast internally generated. We are talking about the company has the ability to make payment in future or not. How are you going to know what is the future? So the only thing is through cash flow forecast. So that's why you need to look into the details. Okay, any other question? So basically, this question is just to test your understanding. I won't test like this. This is like kindergarten. I just want you to know, understand the concept. Want to check whether you really know what you are doing or not. Everybody attended. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Any other question? No. Okay, have a nice day.
Miss,
Yes.
about the I remember I got email you about the attendance one.
For which one?
Last month attendance. You know.
Which date?
Let me check.
Which date?
Wait. The July 12th July.
What is the date?
12th July.
12th July. So I didn't mark your attendance, is it?
Yes.
12th July. What is your name?
Chi Peng.
Okay, done.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Welcome. Okay, bye
Thank you,
bye.
Miss.